Today is all about building chords. This is some easy music theory stuff that we should all know. If you guys haven't watched my previous videos, I'm Ben. I'm with Intermediate Guitar Leveling Up. Chords. What the heck are even those things? You know? Really, all a chord is just two or more notes played simultaneously. Whenever you play notes together like that, they create harmony together. And that's basically what a chord is. The notes from, say, your major chords, like a nice C major, are going to be coming from your major scale. And should we choose to do a minor chord, they're going to be coming from a minor scale. Let's start with a major chord. So, C is always a good one to choose. It's a nice perfect scale. There's no sharps, there's no flats. Just makes things a little bit easier to follow along with. Since we're doing a major chord, let's take a look at our major scale. For C, I'm going to be starting on my A string 3rd fret. That is indeed our C note. Moving up a whole step, we're moving to D. That's our 2nd degree. E is our 3rd degree. F is our 4th. G is our 5th. A is our 6th. B our 7th. And C our octave. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. A major chord is going to be built of the 1st degree, our root note. That's going to set the stage for what key we're in. It's going to have the 3rd in it. That's going to tell our ears whether it's going to be in a major key or a minor key. And then a 5th, which is going to add the perfect harmony over the top to complete the chord. So in the case of C, our notes for our chord should be C, E, and G. And indeed they are. Let's take a look at our open position C chord just to make sure that that all lines up with the theory behind it. Our first note is C. Our next note is E. Then it's a G. Then C. And if we add the top string, we have another E. So the building blocks of this chord are a 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. And you can see it's just a stack of all the same notes. If I were to, say, do this in my bar chord shape, also known as my A position, this particular one, I would also have a stack of those same notes. I would have C, G, C, E, G. So that would be 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, all the way up. Anytime we're doing a major, we want to make sure that we have the 1, the 3, and the 5 from the major scale. If we take a look at the E shape of it, that C, it's going to follow the same rules as well. It's going to be a 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. And we have that chord. Let's take a look at maybe building a minor chord. Minor chords are going to kind of follow a little bit of the same idea. If I'm in a minor key, I need to be using my minor scale, in which case I'll be using the natural minor scale. That's going to be a C, a D, E flat, it's an F, a G, A flat, B flat, and then my C, C minor. If I were to attempt to do this in the open position, I need the 1, the 3, and the 5. 1 setting my key, C. My 3rd, which is E flat, that's setting the minor tonality in our ears. And the 5th on top for the perfect harmony to bring it all back together. C, E flat, G. Now, in order to maybe take that major shape that we're familiar with and turn it into a minor shape. Well, I'm recycling the 1 and the 5. Those stay the same. The only thing I need to change is the 3rd. And in which case, it was on the 2nd fret D string. That was my E. But now I need to turn that into an E flat. And the 3rd that we had on the top, that E, I can't flat that note because it's an open string. I can't go any further unless I detune it. So we'll just skip him for now and we'll just use these. So I've got a C, E flat, G, and I can grab the 1 at the top. That extra C. So I would probably finger it kind of like that. That's why you don't typically see players play it this way. It is a C minor. It's just not the most comfortable C minor. Most of the time, we see it looking like this. And if we recall our A shape, that was a 1, 5, 1. The 3 was on our B string. So if that's E right there, the 5th fret of the B string, all I have to do is flatten him, and that's why we get that shape. 1, 5, 1, flat 3rd, 5. And indeed, whenever we go down to our E shape down here, that's our C on the 8th fret right there. The 3rd was where our middle finger is. That was a 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. So that 3, I just need to flatten. And I can't slide my finger down, so I just lift them up. And now I have a 1, 5, 1, flat 3rd, 5, 1. And I have a C minor chord. That's what's going on with our basic major and minor chords. That's how we use chord construction theory to build chords. Now that we've kind of got that framework developed, what can we start to do with that? Well, I know a lot of you have seen 7 chords in songs that you've tried to play, or maybe you've tried to replicate them. Let's try building a 7 chord. So a 7 chord will typically follow the same ideas, whether it's major or minor. It'll have the 1, the 3, or the flat 3rd if you're in minor, the 5th, and an extra note, the 7, on top. Now, one thing we need to talk about with regards to that 7 note is in the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is a half step away from the tonic. In the minor scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. In the minor scale, we have a flat 7. So it's a whole step away from the tonic. So it's something to keep in mind when we're talking about building 7 chords. And it'll become readily apparent once we go to our A shape and our E shape patterns. So let's start with major 7s, and the easiest one to achieve here will be our open position C major 7. That was our C shape. We have that root on the bottom, our tonic, a major 3rd, a 5th, another tonic, our octave up there, and then another 3rd. So we're 75% of the way there. We just need to add the 7 in there. Well, if we remember from our scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they're only a half step away from each other. So the most economical way to grab the 7 in this chord is to take our octave up here and just move it down a half step. Super easy, and we have a C major 7 in the open position. Really nice chord. If we go into our A shape that we were using, that was a 1, a 5, a 1, a 3, and another 5 on top. We would do kind of the same thing. We find where the octave is, 1, 5, 1. It's right there, and we want to flatten him just a half step to grab the 7th out of it. So now we have this shape. Kind of looks like a backwards D chord right here. and we have a C major 7. Going to our E shape, we'll do this one more time. That was a 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. So the best and most economical place is to find the tonic again, that octave, 1, 5, 1. He's there on your D string, and we'll shorten him up a half step. Now, unfortunately, that totally changes the way that we would fret that with our fingers. I know this one can be a little uncomfortable at first, but get used to this shape because it's a really useful shape. And we have a full C major 7 chord. Really, really, really nice. We've done the major there. Let's take a look at minor 7 chords. Remembering that in the minor scale, we have a flat 7, right? Which means that playing a minor 7 in the open position like this is pretty much impossible from that sort of point of view, because the 7 was there, we would have to go down a full step. It's just not going to work that great there. So let's skip that one. We'll move to our A shape. We could do one in the open position, but it'll be like doing twister with your fingers. It's just not very practical for using. So we'll move to our A shape. We need to make sure that we have a flat 3rd and a flat 7 in here. So the best way to do it, let's take a look at that major chord that we had. And when we move to our minor chord, we had that flat 3rd. That was the E note there on the 5th fret of the B string, and we flattened him up. So then we had this shape for our C minor chord. Now, using kind of the same idea, to get to the 7, we find the octave there, and we're going to move that down a whole step because we need to get to a flat 7. So from there to there, so now our chord should basically look like this. All we have to do is lift up that pinky. You've moved it down a whole step to where your bar is, and we have a C minor 7 chord. Really, really nice chord. If we do the same thing on our E shape, we could take a look at the major that we did. If we wanted to make that a minor, all we had to do was take the 3rd that was there on our G string. That was the 1, 5, 1, 3. And we flattened the 3. If we want a minor 7, we find the octave that's underneath our pinky there, 1, 5, 1, and we drop him too. So now this thing basically becomes almost a whole just plain bar chord with one extra note sticking out there. And we have a C minor 7 chord. So that's how you build 7 chords. You can do this in any key, just making sure to apply your major scale and your minor scale accordingly. Figure out what notes you've got there and start stacking them. This has been kind of an idea of showing you guys why some of the chords that we know look the way that they are. It's also the reason why the guitar is tuned the way that it is too. Because if it was tuned any other way, we'd really be doing some wonky stretches with our fingers to try to make things happen. If you guys have ever heard of suspended chords, if you've ever seen like D sus 2, D sus 4, those kinds of chords, what's happening in those, we'll go back to C just so I can kind of show you. We'll keep it consistent here with our key. A sus 2 is replacing the 3rd of the chord. So our major chord was 1, 3, 5, C, E, G, with the 2 instead. So it'll be C, D, G. But it's called a suspended chord because since there's no 3rd in there, there's no resolution. And that's what that would sound like. That was me taking my 3rd here and dropping it down a whole step to grab the 2, which is that D note. But I hit that and then I hit the 3rd. Big resolve. Those suspended chords are just a means of really reinforcing the resolve, which is on the 3rd. To get to the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is F. So now if I took my chord and instead of playing that E there, I move that up a half step to the F underneath there, we have a C sus 4 because I've got the 4 there instead of the 3. And nice big resolve back to the 3. So that's what suspended chords are. And if you ever see the 2 or the 4, that should hopefully give you a clue as to what you should play. You just find the third of the chord and move it down to the 2 for a sus2, or up to the 4 for a sus4. And realistically, if you're playing a sus chord, you're probably going to be resolving back on that major third. Last thing I wanted to touch on was 9 chords. The reason why I want to touch on 9 chords is because our scale only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes in it. So what the heck is a 9 chord? How do I build something like that? Well, once we get to the tonic, we could think in our heads as instead of that being the 1 again, that would be 8. I'm moving into the next octave, so I just kind of keep the numbers going. 8, 9. The 9 is the octave of the second degree. So in C, C, D, and then I find the octave D, and that's my 9 chord. Now, if you've ever seen, and I'm sure you have, it's used in a lot of songs, a C add 9, that's just taking a C chord and adding another 2 on top. The best way to go about that, well, if this one up here, our first finger on the B note, is our octave C for that chord, I can just move up a whole step and I've got that D note, which is a second degree but higher. Therefore, that's my 9. 8, 9. And a lot of times you'll see people add the G note on top there for that C add 9, and that's totally fine. It's just another fifth, right? C, E, G, G. So if I do C, E, G, D, G, I have a C add 9. So anytime you see those crazy, wacky numbers, add 11, add 13, stuff like that, all that means is you're adding a note in the next octave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Super weird conceptually to kind of think about, but that's how we name those chords. If you guys have any questions for me over this kind of stuff, check out the comments. And speaking of the comments, we'll be having a newsletter that's going to start going out with a lot of information kind of similar to this. So if you're looking to level up your guitar playing, or you're just interested in learning some more information, I'll have it linked in the comments below at the end of this video. So make sure you guys go check that out. If you know of any other guitar players that are interested in learning stuff like this, make sure to invite them to Intermediate Guitar, our Facebook group. And I look forward to talking with you guys and working with you. It's been a pleasure. Once again, my name's Ben with Intermediate Guitar. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Cheers, everybody.